You know, I think this whole thing of denigrating America, and to my memory at least, may have happened before. But I remember John Kerry going overseas and giving a speech to some foreign government, some foreign group, denigrating us for our involvement in the Iraq War. And of course, you know, they make the argument, you know, we were lied to. Well, we know that's not true, but I think our intelligence was clearly off. But I'll tell you one thing, I wish Americans would think about the fact that if right now, instead of just facing Kim Jong-il and facing this idiot over here in Iran, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, just imagine if we were also facing at this point Saddam Hussein, because he was going to pursue nuclear weapons even if he didn't have them then. But leaving that aside, don't go to a foreign country and complain about the United States of America. You want to argue that out, fine, let's argue it out here at home. But don't go to a foreign country and do it. Then Al Gore is going all over the world, telling people all over the world about how we're the worst polluters and we're destroying the planet. The United States of America is destroying the planet. Now, of course, he's making hundreds of millions of dollars in the process and flying in jets, adding a whole lot of carbon to the atmosphere, but that's not a problem because he's Al Gore. Well, you know, maybe it does go back to before that. Jane Fonda, I'll tell you something. If I had been president when Jane Fonda went to and met with the Viet Cong, I'd have had a pair of silver bracelets waiting for her when she got back. Amen to that. They would have been calling her Hanoi Jane. They would have been calling her Hooskow Jane. That's where she would have been going. And we need to tell politicians, look, if you go overseas and you denigrate and criticize your own country, when you come back, we've got a pink slip waiting for you. Because at the next election, we're voting your sorry tail out. Right? Because if you aren't proud enough of this country that you don't go overseas and say, look, whatever problems America has, we as Americans will settle. You're not getting involved in it, and I'm not going to agree with you and denigrate my own country. But that's where we are, unfortunately. We're at a place right now where people feel quite comfortable doing that. Well, of course, our president does it all the time, and he just never loses an opportunity to bow and apologize. But, you know, don't you wish that he would focus on maybe something more mundane like, say, jobs? Maybe the economy would be nice. But, of course, to the extent that he is, we better duck. Because his attitude about jobs and our economy is so far off. Well, first of all, you know, let's think about it. You gotta be a fairly bizarre thinker to have spent $1 trillion. I think the last measure they said we spent about $110 million for 55 jobs. Boy, that's efficient. $1 trillion, and we got a 9.6% unemployment rate. And they say the effective rate is about 18% because you got people who stopped looking, you got people who are underemployed. And what does he come up with the solution? Let's spend another $50 billion for a jobs bill. And guess what? We're going to spend some of that money on shovel-ready projects. Well, you know, he's been shoveling that stuff for a while. You know, I think he ought to shovel some of that in Michelle's garden outside of my house. Maybe it'll do some good there. I mean, we're kind of tired of hearing it. But, you know, these people don't have a clue because they don't like capitalism. Yeah, that's true. They don't like it. They're never going to do anything that helps it because they fundamentally don't like it. I mean, he goes down to the Gulf. We've had one accident in 40 years. Terrible accident. We finally got it under control. Thank God for that. And he shuts down the entire offshore deep water drilling program down there and puts 30,000 people out of work. He doesn't know anything about creating jobs. No. Yes, that too. He doesn't know anything about creating jobs. And this is one you may not have heard because, you know, off the Aleutian Islands right now, the stellar sea lions, they've been measuring their weight over the last decade. They've lost some weight. And now this is their theory. The theory of the Environmental Protection Agency is that they're losing weight because the fishermen are catching all the mackerel and the cod, and that's the stellar's favorite food. And so we got to do something about this. We don't know that that's what's really causing it. I mean, maybe also sort of weight loss program, but we think that's what's causing it. And so here's what we're going to do. We're going to shut down the fishing industry there. That's what they propose to do in January. They're going to put hundreds of people out of work because they're concerned that the Steller sea lion has lost some weight. And then they're concerned that with the weight loss, next there may be a diminution in birth rate. And we certainly can't have that. But doesn't it remind you of what they said was going to happen with the caribou in Alaska? If you put the pipeline through, the caribou will be destroyed. Caribou felt the heat from the pipeline, and they started having more dates. We got more caribou than ever. But this is the mindset. They just don't like capitalism, and so they are doing everything, in my view, to undermine it. And, I mean, right now, for example, we've got the highest level of food stamp distribution we've ever had in the country. Accident? 70 billion a year and climbing on food stamps. Welfare rolls are growing. By the way, this is another thing, maybe some of you have heard about it. The president has also implemented a program now, and the Attorney General is enforcing it, to require that all welfare recipients be registered to vote in the welfare offices. What they want are people that they can control. It is a modern form of slavery. That's right. It's a way of keeping people under your thumb. That's right. And that's exactly what they're trying to accomplish. And so we've got to reverse this thing. I mean, we can't just stop it. We've got to reverse it. We've got to roll it back. We've got to reassert those values that have made the country great. I mean, people came to this country, some of them as indentured servants. That's how black people originally came to the country, not as slaves, as indentured servants. They came, they worked, they struggled, they starved in some cases, they died, families hung together. You don't have any tradition in this country anywhere along the way of anybody saying, hey, we got problems over here, can you send a welfare check? People struggled and they got it done. This program, American Idol, one of the fellows who came in second, they thought he should have come in first, a guy named Autry. And he's a rock singer, not my style of music, but I think that the story is inspiring. When he got ready to go to Memphis, there was bad weather, and he could not go, and somehow there were mix-ups with the flights, and so he couldn't make it. So he had to go to another audition, but he didn't have the money to do it. The friends of his on his job got together unbeknownst to him and said, let's support him, let's send him. Collected the money, bought him his ticket, and then, as this to me is what America's all about. And then patted him on the back and said, now go make something of yourself, kid. That's what Americans do. They didn't say, you think the government has a program that we can go apply for? We believe in getting things done. That's how the country has been built. If you're rich, that's bad. And of course, rich is $250,000 a year. Well, if you live in New York, or you live in LA, or you live somewhere where you're earning that much money, come on, you're not rich. And I don't care where you are. If you're earning $250,000, you got a small business earning $250,000, you're not rich. You're doing well. Certainly you can live well if all of that is coming to you. But small business people all over the country are filing tax returns with $250,000, and Obama says these are the bad people that we got to punish because they're the rich. No, they're just Americans. This whole thing of class warfare and dividing us, rich versus middle class. He's going to take care of the middle class. He's not interested in taking care of anybody but himself. Amen. But they're reworking our entire vocabulary. I mean, think about it. It's not terrorism. It's an overseas contingency operation. What? And it's not a terror attack. It's a man-made disaster. Well, I've been thinking about that and say, well, maybe we should stop calling him Mr. President and start calling him Mr. Accident.